What's up, everybody? This is All Ego Ethan Page from All Elite Wrestling, and you're listening to Vibe 105.
Vibe Talks. More than just music.
Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo, Aulino, and Aaron Zaretsky reporting for Vibe 105 with a Sports VIBEtalks segment where we're happy to be joined by our guest today, who's going to be breaking down all things All Elite Wrestling. They're going to be making their debut here in Canada. He is one of Canada's favorite going on right now in All Elite Wrestling. He is All Ego Ethan Page. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm great. If you said anything else, I might have been upset. But since you said I'm one of Canada's favorites going today, I'm going to let it slide.
All Elite Wrestling is coming and making their debut here in Canada. And you're one of the Canadian stars that everybody wants to see here as they make their debut here in Toronto. Just what were your first initial thoughts when you heard the announcement that AEW was coming to Canada?
Oh, my first thought was, finally. If you want to talk about professional wrestling and the best professional wrestlers from the last couple decades, there's always Canadian athletes that are on these lists. It's because it takes us so much longer, so much more work to break into the wrestling market outside of Canada, because we have to become the best in our own country just to leave. So any Canadians you see on these television shows, just know they're better than your favorites, especially Ethan Page. So I'm pumped for us to come to Canada.
And what has the experience been like so far wrestling in AEW?
Oh, incredible. I mean, I liken it to any of the top leagues in any sports. AEW is the top of its industry. We have the best show, the best athletes, the strongest roster, and they allow us to create our own characters and presentation and brand, not only on the television show, but outside of the company as well. I'm allowed to continue my YouTube channel, have my own fan site, and to build my own audience in hopes of bringing these outside viewers into AEW, which I've seen happen with my toy hunts. So working with AEW has been incredible from day one, and our relationship grows literally every single week. So I can't wait to see what I'm doing with AEW in the next couple of years.
And just what can people expect when they watch you wrestle?
Oh, what you can't expect anything. Don't come with expectations, because I'll blow them away. And I want everyone to understand that my number one goal when I perform is to entertain the people. So literally just know you will be entertained. Don't come with expectations. Just come ready to embrace All Ego Ethan Page and the atmosphere of All Elite Wrestling, which is like nothing else.
And also, like you talked about the atmosphere there, and this is going to be AEW's first show in Canada. So there's going to be a lot of fans that aren't familiar with the product, who maybe heard it, watch it on TSN, and want to check it out for the first time, that live experience. For those fans that aren't familiar with it, how would you best describe AEW's product?
I would describe it as everybody's got that one friend that's like, you got to watch wrestling. You got to go to this wrestling show. It's crazy. And all their friends are like, oh, okay, yeah, wrestling. We know. Oh, that's our buddy who likes wrestling. Whatever. Just let him talk. This is the time you say, okay, fine, I'll listen. Where is the show? What time is it at? I'm going to go. And you'll begrudgingly go to watch professional wrestling for the first time in probably a couple decades, and it'll blow you away. Do not let the old stigma of professional wrestling just seep in your brain. Get rid of it. AEW is more than just pro wrestling. It's a vibe. It's an atmosphere. There's synergy between the fans and the performers. Everyone in the building, backstage, front stage, center of the ring, in the seats, in the nosebleeds, everyone is working together to put on the best show in the world. And we do it every single week on TBS at 8 o'clock, on TNT at 10. But since we're talking to you guys, 8 p.m. on TSN. Do not miss it, honestly. And it never translates like it does in the arenas on television. It doesn't matter how good the mics are. It doesn't matter how good the cameras are. You have to physically be there. And I promise you, there's 2 shows, by the way, not just Wednesday. So if you're busy Wednesday, don't worry. We got Thursday too. It's so nice. We have to do it twice. That's why we're coming to Canada. It's going to be huge. Get your tickets. You have to be there. Put your butt in a seat and just experience the whole thing.
And since you've debuted in the company, I'm sure a lot of people thought, okay, it's during the pandemic. They maybe didn't do it justice of how loud it is in person there. But now as arenas start filling up again, what's that experience been like now as you go week to week, no matter the city you're in, and just see the kind of traction AEW is building on all over the world?
Oh, AEW is on an upward trajectory, and I'm happy that I get to be one of the people in the driver's seat and to be able to keep pushing it and moving it forward and taking it to bigger and greater heights. That's why I love doing these interviews, is because I love spreading AEW across the world and to try and convince people to tune in, because like I said, it's like nothing else. It's a show that caters to literally every form of entertainment. If you like acrobatics, we have it. If you like comedy, we've got the funniest dudes. If you like physicality and brutality, we've got the roughest and toughest. Literally any kind of form of entertainment, we'll give it to you across the globe. And like I said, Tony is picking the best wrestlers in the world, not just America. I'm Canadian. I'm there, guys. Every country isn't safe from AEW. The best wrestlers will end up in All Elite Wrestling, and that's why we are where we are and why we're continuing to grow on a weekly basis. And growing and coming to Canada October 12th and 13th. Huge, huge, huge shows.
This is Aaron Zaretsky and Giancarlo Aulino with All Ego Ethan Page here on Vibe 105. Do you feel that there's going to be added pressure on you and fellow performers with it being the first shows in Canada next week?
Oh, no, not at all. And I only say that because we do this every week. So we're at the top of our game on a regular basis. This will actually feel more like a vacation than pressure, because I'll be surrounded by the people that have been supporting me from day one when I was wrestling in front of 5 people. Those 5 people will probably be in the crowd. So it's for me, this is like a homecoming, and I literally feel like I'm going to float to the ring. This is the first time I won't even have to touch the ramp. I'll just magically be guided by the amazing reaction or the love from the fans or support from people that have watched me from the beginning of my career. And
do you feel like you'll be like a host to your American friends, be like, oh, let me show these guys these cool spots, and like, try to be like, oh yeah, it's like the fans are great, and just, show them around the city and everything?
Oh yeah. Listen, I am about to send an email to Tony Khan and request that we have ketchup chips and coffee crisp backstage for everybody. We'll see if it gets approved. I doubt it, because we're athletes, but no, of course, I can't wait to have my friends, coworkers, hell, even my enemies, to just find out how amazing Canada is and just rub it in their face.
And just, you mentioned enemies there on television, you're playing the heel. So are you worried that, they're going to be booing you? It's not going to be that hometown reaction, or Canadian fans are going to support you no matter what?
You know what? If you want to boo me, boo me. If you want to cheer me. And I'm like that in every city. My name is All Ego Ethan Page. I really don't care what anybody thinks about me. I'm just there for myself, and I'm personally going to enjoy it no matter what reaction I get. Because like I said, it's a homecoming, and I'm selfishly going to soak it in.
And just some of your work there in AEW, it's always been great, no matter what you're involved in. And just working with Dan Lambert too, like, what was that whole experience like? Because he was in the ring cutting those old school heel promos, and you were just feeding off that and just ramping it up week to week. So what was that experience like?
It was awesome. It reminded me of the wrestling I watched growing up, the way the fans were reacting to it, the way Dan was presenting it, and the way we had that chemistry, the 3 of us. And then once we brought Paige Van Zandt, and we had all the UFC fighters like Junior Dos Santos and Jorge Masvidal, and one of my favorites of all time, Andrei Arlovsky. Like, that's a legendary cast of characters all put together, and to be a part of that was amazing. But to be in the middle of the ring, not being able to hear a single thing that I'm saying, Scorpio's saying, or Dan is saying, because of how loud and insane the crowd is. I mean, that in itself is like a compliment and a pat on the back, and something that not many people in the world would be able to experience. I couldn't even think. I couldn't form a sentence because of how loud the crowd was. It's just, I hope I hope everyone in the world gets to experience it once, just because I was like blown away by it. It's magical. But that is a testament to, like I said, the atmosphere that AEW fans bring and the show that AEW puts on.
This is Aaron Zaretsky and Giancarlo Aulino here with Canadian All Ego Ethan Page on Vibe 105. Ethan, who are wrestlers that you haven't worked with that you would like to work with one day?
Ooh, that's a great question, especially in AEW with such a stacked and crazy roster. I have not wrestled Bryan Danielson yet. I think that is a match that not many people would put together, but I would. I like to throw down in the ring. I know he does too. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. I would love to test myself against him. But and I'm trying to think of Canadians too, because I've already wrestled Christian. I would love a rematch. Try and get the victory this time. I've already wrestled Chris Jericho. Myself and Scorpio Sky beat Jericho and Hager at Grand Slam in front of 22,000. No big deal. New Canadian icon here. But I would say if I was to wrestle a fellow Canadian, I would love to wrestle Kenny Omega. Everybody says he's the best bout machine. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I know for sure. Like if that were to happen, it'd be like a lights out match. Would tear the house down.
And like just even on that, like I'm sure all the veterans that you're interacting with on a daily basis and AEW and even in your career from when you were in Impact, like who are some of the veterans that took you under their wing or even offered the best piece of advice to you that you still take today?
Oh, I mean, I got to wrestle Sting in my first real, I guess, story in AEW. So just to, whether he gave me advice or not, I'll keep that to myself. But just to be able to be in the ring with someone with that much experience wrestling in his early 60s, like you have to understand the amount of people he's shared a ring with, the amount of situations he's had to navigate during live television. You can't help but learn from people like that. Or guys like Arn Anderson who are willing to grab you in the back and give you advice. Chris Jericho, when we're not punching each other in the face or hating each other. We seem to get along a little bit better now, but he's another guy that gives great advice. Christian, same thing. Like there is a wealth of knowledge backstage. Jim Ross, another great mind. This is the guy that hired The Rock. This is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Why would I not want to talk to the person that saw the diamond in the rough in Dwayne Johnson when other people didn't? So there's so many guys backstage that I try my best to get as much out of as possible.
With Ethan Page here on Vibe 105. Ethan, so you talked about like you've done like other ventures like with your YouTube channel. You were also in a movie as well. What was that experience like, just being a part of like a movie, and I think a couple movies you were in?
So I was super young when I was doing the movies, and it kind of taught me how to be good at wrestling. Just kind of sit around and wait, and they're long days, and you work in short bursts. What's the phrase everybody says? Hurry up and wait. You got to get there as early as possible. You wait around all day. You do your 5 to 10 minutes of work, and then you wait around a little bit more. It got me ready for this because this is the same thing. You got to come up early. You got to be prepared just in case they need you to do anything. Always being ready. And then you have your 10 to 30 minute match, and then you're done. But you're there for 8 to 10 hours. So yeah, it got me ready for wrestling.
Couple final questions here with All Ego Ethan Page here on Vibe 105 Sports VIBEtalks segment. Your YouTube channel has gained a lot of traction since you started it, and you've had these toy hunts. Like I saw some, you had Johnny Gargano, you had Danhausen on a few of them, the Acclaimed. How did that idea come about to start a YouTube channel, and what has been the best part of going on these toy hunts?
So starting the channel was my wife's idea. Most of my good ideas are hers, and I just have to try and execute them well. So for the YouTube channel, she just noticed that a lot of kind of like performers, entertainers, influencers all started their own brands on the side, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a safety net and another avenue of income and career. So when I'm potentially finished with wrestling, if that's ever the case, I have my own business, my own fan base that I've built on my own, that I can kind of survive on my own and thrive on my own. And that's always been the goal, is to be self-sufficient. And there's benefits for AEW too, where I have people that are tuning into the toy hunts because of the nostalgia and because the fandom of toys or pop culture that aren't wrestling fans and actually have no idea that I'm a wrestler, and then end up finding out about AEW through that and tuning in. And so it's growing the AEW fan base as well. But I think the best part about it is that I just get a hit of nostalgia. And that's kind of why I started the toy hunt videos themselves. I like going to toy stores. I like hanging out with my friends. I like geeking out with them and kind of talking about the things we loved when we were kids. So the fact that I can say it's my job now is pretty cool.
And you mentioned toys there. AEW, like in the past year or so, they have their own line of action figures, right?
Oh,
Wrestling action figures. And I'm just wondering, like, is there an action figure of you yet? Or is that in the works?
Yeah, so Jazzwares and AEW are like a match made in heaven, because when it comes to wrestling figures, AEW has the best figures. Just our basic figures alone blow everything out of the water. And then now we have the Supreme sets coming out too. So the Jazzwares AEW toy line is incredible. And they actually, at All Out, announced Ethan Page's figure, which will be coming out in 2023. And my wave of toys is awesome. It's got Pac, it's got Scorpio Sky, it's got Samoa Joe, it's got The Acclaimed, it's got Jade. But Ethan Page gets his first figure in AEW coming soon. So it's very, very, very cool. Check out Ringside Collectibles to pre-order that when it's available.
That's great. Congratulations on that. That's a big one there.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Especially for us, because we have Toys R Us in Canada still. So Ethan Page one day will be in a Toys R Us, which is pretty cool.
And I heard before, like, I guess like on TV or just online from a few other wrestlers, like in a documentary or so, some of them saying that like you haven't made it until there's an action figure of you, huh?
Yeah,
Would you agree with that comment? Or
you could say that about a lot of things. Video game, if you've never been on a marquee, if you've never main evented. I think it's all just people setting their own personal goals. And, there's wrestlers that end up getting killed in 30 seconds on television one time, and in their minds, they made it. And I hope they do believe that, because everybody's got different goals. For me personally, getting an action figure in a store that my grandparents could just accidentally see, that is making it 100%.
That's great. Well, before we wrap up here, Ethan, how can our listeners and viewers follow you on social media and get up to date with everything you're doing on YouTube?
Oh, heck yeah. So youtube.com/Ethan Page vlog. I post a weekly video every single Sunday with a lot of the stars of AEW hunting toys with me as well. Last week's had the Bunny. The week before that had Nyla Rose. Check that out. That's my main thing right now. So go there. And my Twitter is @officialego. And I update everybody on what's going on in my life on there the most.
That's great. Well, Ethan, we appreciate you sharing your time here and coming on Vibe 105 to talk about this exciting debut here, AEW in Canada. And we wish you all the best with all this and your toy hunts.
Heck yeah, thank you. And make sure, guys, that you don't only promote AEW with this interview. Every day leading up, you guys got to tell everybody about these shows coming to Canada, please.
We'll do there.
Love it.
will do.
And now back to your Vibe 105.